Okay, morning everyone. Um, you sort of look at the chart there and you actually think, well, it doesn't look actually that different from yesterday. The one sort of slight subtle difference is the sort of direction of the isobars. There was just a little bit more northeasterly direction to it yesterday, actually northeasterly wind. Now we're drawing in a more easterly airflow. And it's definitely a different air mass. It feels very different, looks very different out there. And I think we're going to have a very, very different picture today. I'm not entirely sure what's going to happen. I really am, because the BBC forecast was sort of a little bit different to what the data I'm looking at. Isobars reasonably well spaced apart, so it's not going to be perhaps quite as windy as yesterday. And pressure's 1020, so it's reasonably high. But from an easterly direction, and it's drawing in sort of what it appears to be slightly moister air than yesterday. So TAFs from Farnborough, it's only come up in the last 20 minutes what their TAF is. So they're talking about scattered at 2.5. So breaks in the cloud. It's certainly not that at the moment at Farnborough. Between 9 and 18, broken at 1,200 feet. Well, that sounds very similar to yesterday. They were saying broken at 1,400 feet. And the tempo bit at the end here is the bit we've got at the moment. So tempo between 9 and 11, 4,000 meters, drizzle haze broken at 800 feet, which is probably what we've got. Drizzle overcast at a couple of hundred feet. And that's sort of saying here till 11 o'clock. Interesting to watch this, because sometimes when this happens, it just gets extended and extended as things don't change very much. Gatwick giving a slightly more optimistic forecast, and I'll just look at their actual, because it didn't look too bad when I looked earlier. Broken at 1,700 feet. Farnborough were sort of hazy, broken at 1,000 feet, so which is about 600 feet here. So slightly better to the east. If you're optimistic, there's better weather coming this way, but we're sat on top of a hill, so who knows what's going to happen. Upper winds, just equivalent winds at flying heights, a little bit lighter than yesterday. It was 30 knots down in the channel, 20-25 knots. Centre of the country, so 15 to 20 knots at the most, I think, over us. If we do manage to go flying, somewhere 1,000 or 2,000 feet. And the sat pic shows little areas of sort of clearer patches just here and there, but they've been filling in quite quickly. This brighter white bit's just a thicker cloud. It's not raining here. There's a swathe of rain running down across the sort of channel here, well to the east, well to the west of us, but there's not much rain in any of this at all. It's quite dry, and the BBC was suggesting it was going to be drying out as the day goes on, so let's be optimistic about it. Temperature wise, possibly a degree or two warmer than yesterday, but that's not saying much really. It was bitterly cold yesterday, but maybe a little bit, 6-7 degrees today. So perhaps slightly warmer, because it's not coming from quite such a northerly direction. Top Meteo showing low cloud to start off with, and they're showing it thickening up as the morning goes on. That's 11 o'clock, 12:1, 2. They're just showing the sort of low cloud staying over us. We've had that before, a couple of days ago, Thursday, Friday, where it clears in other places and just stays sort of overcast and low cloud here. So I really, this is the confusing bit. I just don't know what's actually going to happen. I'm hoping for just brightens up a little bit, dries out a little bit. Top Meteo is suggesting more of the sort of low cloud sitting around here. So your guess is as good as mine. Tomorrow looks slightly better. Round here, the BBC was suggesting slightly brighter. in our sort of area. So we shall see again. But once we're stuck into this easterly airflow, until we get rid of that, it doesn't tend to be a great air mass. Okay, if we do go flying airspace wise, really quite quiet, nothing going on around us, and the only thing near to us is middle walloper operating, so they've no TAM winch launching. And that's about it. Winch operation will probably be cables on the south side, and a normal winter setup on the runway. And there's no jet movements today. We got that out of the way yesterday with the jet that couldn't get in on Friday, came in yesterday. So fairly quiet. I think it's a bit more tea drinking, and we'll see how the weather goes, folks.